Hi friend, welcome back to Running to Myself. I'm your host, Trisha Stanton. Today, I want to ask you a simple question. What's your level of commitment? Not what you say your level of commitment is, not what you hope it is, not what you post about on social media, but what is your actual level of commitment when things get slightly inconvenient? If you work in any kind of business where clients make appointments, you already know this pattern that I'm about to share. There are two groups of people. There's the group who will not cancel for anything short of death, and then there's the group who will cancel for every minor inconvenience. Bad sleep, busy week, weather, headache, traffic, mood. And of course, many people fall somewhere along that wide spectrum. The same is true in the workplace. There are employees who never miss work, sometimes even when they probably should. And then there are those who call off for every sniffle, every low energy day, every small disruption. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not a podcast episode about ignoring your health or pushing yourself into burnout. That's not productive long term. This is about something else. This is about what I've observed over years in coaching, in running, in parenting, in business, relationships, and personal growth. People who show up consistently get better results than those who don't. The show up no matter what group, they get faster results. They build momentum sooner, they compound growth. It seems obvious, and yet that group is usually quite small. Why? Why don't more people adopt a show up no matter what mindset? Today we're going to explore that together. And I will give you some very practical tools for increasing your own level of commitment in a way that builds self-trust and doesn't lead to burnout. This isn't about perfection. It's about your identity. I remember when our kids were little and we were starved for some time alone as adults. If you've raised young children, you know what I'm talking about. Adult time alone is rare, and it's a lot of work to make it happen. It requires coordination, it requires babysitting, it requires timing naps and snacks and logistics. One night we had plans for a date. I don't remember what we were doing. I know it wasn't anything super special. Maybe dinner, a movie, meeting friends. I don't know. It was something very ordinary. We had arranged for my parents to watch the kids, and then the weather turned. I mean, it was winter in the Midwest. A snowstorm was possibly coming. Maybe, or maybe not. Again, winter in the Midwest. It can change by the minute. My mom kept suggesting that we cancel. You probably shouldn't drive. You can always reschedule. It's not worth it. And we looked at each other and thought, absolutely not. We are going. Adult time in the free world, we were not giving that up. We drove through that snowstorm like our marriage depended on it. Now here's what's interesting. The date itself wasn't that memorable. What stuck with me was the commitment. We had decided that this mattered. The weather, it was just a short-term inconvenience. Connection was a long-term value. And when long-term value is clear enough, short-term inconvenience loses its power. That's it. That's the whole lesson. Inconsistency slows progress, and most inconsistency has nothing to do with ability. It's about prioritization. It's about this. In the moment, the inconvenience feels bigger than the value. When your alarm goes off at 5:30 a.m., the warm bed feels more valuable than the long-term health benefit of getting up early to exercise. When it's time to have a hard conversation, temporary comfort feels more valuable than relational clarity. When it's time to follow through on a commitment, the immediate mood feels more important than the future result. The brain is wired for comfort, safety, and efficiency. It will always vote for the easier option. So if you rely on mood to determine commitment, you will constantly cancel on your future self. Let me say that again. If you rely on mood To determine commitment, you will constantly cancel on your future self. And that erodes self-trust. So let's break this down. What is it that the consistent group is doing differently than everyone else? They've decided in advance. They value identity over comfort. They understand compounding, and they don't negotiate with every emotion. That's it. They aren't superhuman. They just don't revote every time it gets inconvenient. Most people revote constantly. I said I'd work out 5 days a week, but today I'm tired. Maybe 3 days is enough. I said I'd go to therapy, but today I'm busy. I said I'd take that class, but today I don't feel confident. Every time you revote, you weaken commitment. Consistency requires deciding ahead of time. Here's your first actionable tool. Tool number 1, decide once, execute often. Instead of deciding every day whether you'll show up, decide once. Just decide. I am someone who works out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Not, I'll see how I feel. I am someone who keeps my appointments. Not unless something better comes up. When you decide once, you remove daily negotiation, and this is huge for mental energy. Decision fatigue is real. If you debate with yourself every time, you will exhaust yourself. Deciding ahead of time conserves willpower. So ask yourself, where in my life am I constantly revoting on something that I already said mattered? Pick one area, just one, and decide once. Tool number 2, separate circumstances from excuses. Not all cancellations are weakness. Life happens. Sickness, emergencies, unexpected events. There is a difference between legitimate interruption and avoidable inconvenience. So here's the tool. When you feel tempted to cancel, ask, is this truly outside my control, or is this discomfort? Be honest. Sometimes it's truly outside of your control, but more often than not, it's just discomfort. Low motivation, mild inconvenience, bad mood, traffic, weather, self-doubt. Discomfort is not danger, but your brain might try to convince you otherwise. It can be tricky that way. The great news is that if you train yourself to show up through discomfort, your capacity expands. Tool number 3, anchor to identity. The people who show up consistently usually think in identity terms. They don't just think, I want to run. They think, I am a runner. They don't think, I want a strong relationship. They think, I prioritize connection in my relationships. And here's something that most people don't know. Identity drives behavior more powerfully than goals. So ask yourself, who do I want to become? And then ask, what would that person do today? Would she cancel because she's slightly inconvenienced? Or would she lace up her shoes and go anyway? Identity reduces drama. Tool number 4, use the 10-minute rule. If full commitment feels overwhelming, shrink it. Tell yourself, I'll do it for 10 minutes. Work out for 10 minutes, write for 10 minutes, have the hard conversation for 10 minutes, work on the project for 10 minutes. Momentum builds after motion begins. Most resistance happens before the starting point. The 10-minute rule lowers the barrier and keeps the commitment intact. Most of the time, once you get started, you'll keep going. But even if you stop at 10 minutes, you have kept your word. And that is what matters in terms of shaping your identity. Tool number 5, track your follow-through. This one is simple and powerful. At the end of each week, ask, did I show up where I said I would? No shame, just data. When you track follow-through, you create awareness, and awareness leads to change. In coaching, we talk about patterns. Your pattern of showing up or backing out is predictable. When you see it clearly, you can interrupt it if need be. Let's talk honestly. Inconsistency doesn't just delay results, it damages self trust. Every time you break a small promise to yourself, your brain logs it. She doesn't follow through. Over time, you start doubting your own goals. You stop believing in yourself, and that is far more damaging than missing a single workout or appointment. Self trust is built in the small things. The show up no matter what group, they trust themselves because they have evidence. Now let's balance this. There are moments when the right choice is rest. When your body is genuinely sick, when your nervous system is overloaded, when a higher value requires your attention. Commitment isn't about being rigid, it's about being intentional. The difference between I'm choosing not to show up because this truly matters more right now and I don't feel like it. That difference is everything. Remember the snowstorm? We didn't drive through it because we were reckless. We drove through because connection mattered more than inconvenient weather. The inconvenience was temporary. The investment was lasting. What snowstorms are currently testing your commitment? Busy season at work, kids' schedules, low energy, self-doubt, fear of failure? Ask yourself, is this a storm I can drive through? Because oftentimes the growth you want is on the other side of inconvenience. Here's what consistency does for you. It compounds. One workout doesn't change your body, 50 do. One honest conversation doesn't transform a relationship, but consistent communication does. One coaching session doesn't permanently shift your mindset, consistent mind management does. The winners aren't more talented, they're just more consistent. And consistency is available to you. So I'll ask you again, what's your level of commitment? Not your aspiration, not your intention, your demonstrated commitment. Where in your life are you someone who shows up no matter what? And where are you someone who cancels when it's inconvenient? No shame, just awareness. Pick one area this week. Decide once, anchor to identity, use the 10-minute rule, separate discomfort from obstacles, and track your follow through. Begin building evidence that you are someone who keeps their word. The long-term value you say you want lives on the other side of short-term inconvenience. And you, my friend, are capable of driving through a few snowstorms. Until next week, keep running to yourself.